time in a different country after the lockdown, and we are visiting Wales.
The country, of course, not the oversized water mammal.
And so we are in Cardiff right now. We are planning to visit the castle and to do some water sports and of course eat the food and have some fun. We are staying at Clayton Hotel, and because my birthday is coming, they have prepared this happy birthday card for me, which is really making me feel very special. So thank you very much to the reception team.
We rush to the nearest bar to have a pint, as you do, before having a walk around the city. Cardiff is the capital of the proud country of Wales. However, it was only officially made the capital of Wales in 1955. Before that, the capitals were a series of places, the names of which I simply can't pronounce, so I won't even try to do so. Cardiff is located on the Bristol Channel, at the mouth of the River Taff. There's much debate as to the origins of the city's name, but the most prominent theory is that it came from two words: Caer, meaning ford, and Taff, referring to the River Taff. Hence, the original Welsh name Caer Taff, meaning the fort on the River Taff. The city's modern name, Cardiff, is believed to be an English bastardization of the Welsh name. Today, it's the largest and most populous city in the country and is also its political centre. The city is home to the Welsh devolved government. This building houses the Senedd Cymru, also known as the Welsh Parliament, which used to be known as the National Assembly of Wales. Most of Cardiff's growth and expansion can be attributed to the emergence of coal and iron ore mines to the north of the city. Railways connected Cardiff to the industrial and mining areas, and the construction of a basin and docks allowed Cardiff to become a prominent exporter of coal. By 1913, Cardiff's port had become the largest coal exporting port in the world. Today in Cardiff Bay, there are no remnants of the city's once great maritime exporting industry. All that remains is a memorial for merchant seafarers that lost their lives in the war. Cardiff also has a who's who of people that have once called the city home. Among them are Ryan Giggs and of course Rhodri Giggs, Charlotte Church, and the legend that is Shirley Bassey. But one of Cardiff's most famous children is Roald Dahl, the writer that gave us classics such as Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and my personal favourite, a collection of short stories known as The Tales of the Unexpected. We paid homage to Roald Dahl by visiting Roald Dahl Plass, a public plaza dedicated to the Cardiff-born author. And it just so happened that there was a fun fair at the plaza, a happy coincidence. Now to try and win something. I used to be a basketball player, so this should be a cinch.
What a bloody show off. Prize. 3 in, you've lost. It's only 2 to win, mate. Sorry,
this isn't turning out as I'd hoped.
Unlucky down there, mate. Here we go.
Despite that basket, I left the game empty-handed. Perhaps I can win something in a good old-fashioned game of darts.
I don't know what I got there.
Finally, I've actually won something by getting a score below 30. To the victor go the spoils. And the spoil is...
Won a piggy at the darts. Not too bad.
And to the victor go the candy floss as well, apparently. Around the Plass is a tribute to another notable son of Cardiff.
Right behind me is a statue of Ivan Novello, and he is a composer and an actor and a playwright, and he was in one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock films called The Lodger. It's one of the earliest Alfred Hitchcock films.
Given that we're boring people that hate fun, we decided to call it a day.
So it's been a really long day. We're just going to go back to the hotel, relax, and see you guys tomorrow for more Cardiff stuff.
The following morning, we filled up on a full English, or a full Welsh in this case, to get ready for another day of exploring. If Cardiff had a centrepiece, a symbol, it would be Cardiff Castle. A stronghold with 2,000 years of history, situated right at the very heart of the city.
Is the fact that there's a castle right in the middle of the city centre. And it's not just any castle, it's a really genuine castle with loads of real history dating back to the 11th century. Even some history on this site dating back to the Romans in the 1st century.
As my past self just said, the fort first established on these grounds was a Roman one, built around the late 50s CE. Archaeological excavations indicate that a series of 4 forts were built on the site at different times, the last of which was built in stone with walls that can still be seen today. We'll of course show you said walls when we get to them. The Roman fort is what is referred to in the original Welsh name of the city, Caer Taff, the fort on the River Taff. The structure at the top of this motte, or mound, was built on top of the Roman fort. It's a motte and bailey castle known as the Norman Keep, as it was built by the Norman invaders in the late 11th century CE. After the Norman conquest, the first keep built on the motte was made out of wood, under the orders of Robert Fitzhamon, the Norman Lord of Gloucester. The original wooden structure was then replaced by the stone shell keep in the mid-12th century. Now the Normans must have been incredibly fit given the amount of stairs they make you climb to get to the top, but I guess you do have to be rather fit to conquer Britain. In the end, one is rewarded for enduring this unintended leg day.
So we're here at the top of the main keep. Check out the view from here.
What was once intended as a strategic outlook over the surrounding hills to the north is now a platform for tourists to take lovely pictures of Cardiff's northern suburbs. The castle passed through the hands of many noble families. In 1766, it was passed to the Bute family through marriage. The Bute family have a long history with the city, and the second Marquess of Bute was responsible for turning Cardiff into the largest coal exporting port in the world. In 1866, the third Marquess of Bute hired the architect William Burgess to carry out extensive renovations of the castle. With the Marquess's vast wealth behind the redevelopment, this will lead to the castle's biggest transformation. This banqueting hall is the largest room in the castle, and it dates back to the 15th century. But don't be fooled, these decors are part of Burgess's redevelopment and is simply a Victorian reimagining of a hall from the Middle Ages. It's nothing more than a medieval-themed hall, not surprising given that both the Marquess and Burgess were fanatics of the medieval period. This impressive chimney piece shows Robert, Earl of Gloucester, an illegitimate son of King Henry I. He was Lord of Cardiff Castle in the 12th century. By the 1860s, the third Marquess of Bute was reputed to be the richest man in the world. Imagine Elon Musk, but having a penchant for all things medieval, and would rather spend his fortune remodeling a castle than building a colony on Mars, or interfering with Western politics. And that's exactly what the Marquess did. Lavished with the Marquess's money, William Burgess designed a Gothic revival remodeling of the castle. Within the Gothic towers, the theme was medieval opulence, complete with murals, stained glass, marble, elaborate wood carvings, and all the Gothic medieval trimmings. It wasn't all medieval though. Each of the spectacular rooms had its own special theme, which included Italian, Arabic, and Victorian decorations. Both William Burgess and the third Marquess of Bute would die at relatively young ages, and would not see their vision fully completed. Much of the work would be continued and completed by the fourth Marquess of Bute. Walking on the castle's battlement gives us a sense of what a soldier would have experienced. Patrolling along the walls, keeping a watchful eye for any dangers, knowing that I stand on the fort's first line of defense against enemy invaders. Well, in the case of Cardiff Castle, it's important to imagine yourself as a Roman legionnaire, because these walls are Victorian reconstructions of the old Roman fort. Here, you march the battlements as Maximus, Pompeius, or Dave, or whatever Romans named their children, looking out for any Cilias, a Celtic tribe that the Romans fought against in South Wales. This reconstruction of the fort was built on top of the original Roman foundations, after the remains of the Roman fort were rediscovered by accident. Cardiff Castle's Roman past remained hidden for almost 900 years, and was only found in 1888 when the third Marquess of Bute, yes, that guy again, decided to build a new tower. When the workmen began clearing the Norman earthworks, they stumbled upon the remains of the Roman wall. Further excavations fully revealed the wall's remains, making the Marquess abandon his plans for a tower. He decided to rebuild the fort instead. William Burgess reconstructed Roman-style walls and a gatehouse to incorporate the Roman ruins into the castle's design. The remains of the Roman wall, perhaps the most important glimpse of the castle's history, can still be seen with a walk through the castle's visitor centre. So this is the Roman wall of Cardiff Castle, the last remnants of the fort that the Romans built here in the 1st century. It's crazy to think that we're looking at all of this now as, just all history of Cardiff Castle. But actually, this history and the history of the keep, which is Norman, was separated by 10 centuries. That's right, 10 centuries separate the Roman wall from the Norman fortifications. An exhibition called Firing Line, a museum of the Dragoon Guards and the Royal Welsh, can be found within the castle walls. It commemorates 300 years of distinguished military history, including the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, Rorke's Drift against the Zulus in 1879, and even something as recent as Iraq and Afghanistan. The last time Cardiff Castle played its role as a defensive structure was in the Second World War. With the threat of aerial bombardment from the Nazi Luftwaffe hanging over Britain, air raid shelters in tunnels were created for the citizens of the city within the castle walls. It's estimated that almost 2,000 people took shelter within these tunnels. When the the siren sounded, people that lived or worked in the city would rush into the shelters and rest in the safety of the tunnels. Today, one can visit the air raid shelters even without the threat of bombing, gaining a glimpse into the lives of the people that sought solace within the castle walls.
The British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note. The British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note.
Complete with recreated facilities and the most haunting sounds, the wartime tunnels allows one to experience this bygone era.
So that's it from us here at Cardiff Castle. We're off to explore other parts of the city. I'm sure Socrates will be happy to get his red nose off.
Cardiff is known as a city of arcades. No, not those arcades. Not the ones you played Street Fighter in back in the 90s. Arcades are these long covered galleries, mostly glass covered, that house restaurants, bars and shops. The city has more Victorian and Edwardian arcades than any other city in the UK, and with more than 150 years of history, the 7 arcades in Cardiff city centre are the beating heart of shopping and dining in the city. So we went to the Castle Arcade to try a famous Welsh delicacy, Welsh cakes. Also known as bakestones, these griddle-cooked sweet treats have been popular since the 19th century. Perhaps the best way to describe it is that it's a cross between a scone and a pancake.
I'm going to eat the rest of it later, because I don't just do things for you guys, you know. You want to enjoy stuff as well.
The arcades aren't the only shopping spots in the city. One can also procure goods at Cardiff Market, an indoor market in the city's castle quarter that's been around since the Victorian period. The market stands on the site of the former Cardiff Gallows, which effectively transformed a place where people were hanged to a place where people hang out, if you will. Today, stalls dangling everything from artisanal fare to accessories, fish to fruit, and vintage records to vintage clothing can all be found under its glass roof. It's become a place that one must simply swing by when they're in the city. Alright, that's enough gallows humour for the day. I do apologise if you had to hang in there for all of that. The hustle and bustle of the city can be tiring, so in an attempt to recharge by reconnecting with nature, we headed to Bute Park. Behind these walls is 130 acres of manicured gardens and parkland that once formed the grounds of Cardiff Castle, effectively functioning as the city's green lung. It was of course named after, yes, you guessed it, the 3rd Marquess of Bute, whose family once owned the castle. It is an oasis for Cardiffians, or whatever it is that they're called, to relax and clear their minds amidst over 3,000 catalogued tree species, mostly found in the Arboretum. However, we do advise caution when exploring the park, mostly due to the possibility of encountering some of the local wildlife. The rest of our evening was spent walking down unfamiliar streets, staring at unknown buildings, and bathing in the warm Welsh evening summer sun. And in a city like Cardiff, what more could you want?
So today we're walking around and visiting a couple of museums.
You heard that right, 2 museums. It's a cultured kind of day today. And first up is the National Museum Cardiff. Founded in 1905 as the National Museum of Wales, the National Museum Cardiff is unique among British museums in that it holds a range of both art and science displays in one incredible museum. It combines the 2 worlds by showcasing everyday objects with interesting artifacts, the mundane with the profound, the useful with the beautiful. Speaking of beauty, the museum houses an art collection that boasts works by Turner, Rodin, Monet, Van Gogh, and Welsh artists like Richard Wilson and Thomas Jones. The science exhibits takes one through a journey of time and space, where one can touch real meteorites, look at some really old rocks, and examine the remains of extinct animals. But enough with the info dump. Here at Beige Voyage, you know we're a sucker for an artsy montage, so here it is. You asked for it, or maybe you didn't, but here it is anyway. Cue the artsy montage! Next to the museum is Alexandra Gardens, the perfect escape after taking in all that art, or a really heavy artsy montage. This rectangular Edwardian park sits at the heart of the Civic Centre area in the cafes and has retained all of its original features. Its crown jewel is a cenotaph, created by Sir William Goscombe John in memory of those who lost their lives in the First World War. And what kind of barbarian would we be if we neglected to honour the most sacred of British institutions? Afternoon tea. With our bellies full of tea and cake, we're on to the next museum, because there's no such thing as too much learning. After a short but wild bus ride, we were back in Cardiff Bay. We went all the way here to visit Techniquest, a science discovery centre that aims to bring science to life and make learning fun. All of the exhibits and displays are interactive, and there's something for everyone to discover.
Lead me up, Scotty.
Awakening that childlike scientific curiosity is at the heart of Techniquest's mission, and they do a pretty good job of it. Here, you can let your scientific mind roam unfettered to explore and discover things like what you'd look like in a decade if you lived like Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s.
So the machine is predicting that this is how I will look 10 years from now. And if I consume a lot of alcohol, that's how I would look. If I smoke, that's how I would look. And if I tan, that's how I would look. And if I do all of them, that's how I...
Pre-Iron Man Downey was wild. You can also test your fitness by seeing how long you can dead hang on a bar. Ha! 1 minute and 2 seconds. Take that, gravity! You can build your own firework display and watch it come to life over the Cardiff skyline. You can feel the full power of Henry Hoover. Yes, I'm aware that this was designed probably with children in mind, and that's a fully grown 100-kilogram man. You can even feel the force of a hurricane in this simulation. Or if you're like me, you can pretend to be in a music video of a 90s boy band. You can also make music with pipes using science. Roll over Beethoven, there's a new sheriff in town. And if you're tired of all the science things, you can also just play with some balls.
So we just came from Techniquest and it was great. Very interactive, great for children, but as adults, we had a lot of fun. That ends our day of museums. We'll go around the town now, probably have some dinner, and we'll see you tomorrow.
And dinner we did have. All that learning made me want some protein, although I'm not quite sure if I actually learnt anything. So we went to Julia's Nightmare, a Brazilian meat place. But of course, no meat for Julia.
Give me my meat!
A few moments later.
Do you want more meat?
I'm having meat sweats.
A lot of boring math later.
Do you want more meat? Meat, meat.
Today is our last full day in Cardiff, and we decided to go shopping.
Do you remember those arcades? Well, they're not just full of fancy shops and expensive restaurants. They're also home to some fantastic independent and used bookshops like Troutmark Books, making Cardiff a great place for book shopping for bookworms like us. There's just nothing like the smell of old book pages from a used bookshop, which verifiably is very much a good thing, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on.
So we're off to celebrate Julia's birthday with a nice birthday dinner at a nice restaurant.
And our restaurant of choice was Chapel 1877, a former Victorian chapel turned luxury restaurant.
So we made it to the chapel to celebrate Julia's birthday. She got complimentary Prosecco. But I can't help but feel that we're underdressed with t-shirts, aren't we?
Well, show this and then show that.
Yeah. Severely underdressed, I think, is the verdict here.
Not letting our sartorial inadequacies ruin the evening, we proceeded to have a lovely meal and a few glasses of claret for good measure. Morning came and we knew we had to say farewell to this wonderful city. And though our journey was slightly impeded by a Cardiff City match at home, we eventually made it to the train station. And as we sat there, waiting for our train to depart, we wished that we could take a part of the city and this country home with us. All we left with were lasting memories and dreams subtitled in Welsh. And our souvenirs, of course, because we already paid for them.